economic and political reverberations.
People of Britain have spoken, voting for a British exit, dubbed Brexit.
The future does not belong to globalists.
Globalization, an idea of a flow of commodities, capital, humans, and ideas across physical and virtual borders. Although has been happening for decades, globalization can be tracked through two major waves. The first began in the 19th century and peaked at the start of World War I. The second started post-World War II and peaked in 2008, when economic transactions were 40 times larger than they were in 1913. The globalization peak in 2008 was hit by an economic crisis and preceded by an increase in deglobalization trends. Since then, trade across borders has not grown as quickly as before. Protectionist measures are more common. Migration is getting more backlash, and political populism is advancing much further.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
In 2016, Donald Trump was elected as the 45th President of the United States. As a president, he sets the tone when it comes to foreign policy. His views of the world indicated a radical change that threatens the idea of a globalized world.
The country lost $151 billion. They send the Mercedes, they send BMWs, they send everything. We tax them practically nothing. We can't send our cars. And if we do, they charge many, many times the tax that we stupidly don't charge. So I told them, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna charge a tariff on steel until such time as you straighten out your act and you let us have fair.
Promoting nationalism and protectionism by the leader of the free world has consequences. Reversing the globalization clock became more severe when the US decided to undermine three of the main international organizations that specialized in regulating global trade, justice, and health. On trade, the US attacked the World Trade Organization, claiming that the WTO is serving China's interests.
WTO's treated the United States very badly, and I hope they change their ways. They have been treating us very badly for many, many years, and that's why we were at a big disadvantage with the WTO. And we're not planning anything now, but if they don't treat us properly, we will be doing something.
On justice, the Trump administration attacked the International Criminal Court when the ICC tried to prosecute some American soldiers.
Trump administration is taking the following actions. First, we're authorizing the imposition of economic sanctions against ICC officials directly engaged in ICC efforts to investigate U.S. personnel or allied personnel against that allied state's consent.
Globalization became less desired when populists managed to seize power in many major countries. It happened in India with Narendra Modi. It happened when Britons voted for exiting the European Union. However, the pace of the flow back was slow until coronavirus spread around the world. The pandemic showed us how far we have depended on the global system. The supply chains were on hold for weeks. The flow of the humans was obstructed like never before. Although it seemed an opportunity to appreciate the power of collective efforts for some people, it was a moment for others to target one of the most important aspects of globalization: health.
We're going to put a hold hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it, and we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good.
On health, Trump claimed that World Health Organization is being influenced by China. Instead of developing a global plan to counter the virus, the two major actors in the World Health Organization decided to clash. The United States stopped funding the WHO after accusing the international organization of protecting China, where the virus started.
We will be today terminating our relationship with the World Health Organization and redirecting those funds to other worldwide and deserving urgent global public health needs.
Trump promised to come in and do things differently, and he claimed that the usual policies of the United States are not working and that there should be an America First focus because some countries did not do exactly what Trump wanted. Unfortunately, Trump took some retaliatory measures against the WHO, against some organizations in the UN, against some countries themselves, just to basically prove a point and say, if you're not going to play by my playbook, then you're going to suffer the consequences.
Trump's ideas were an explicit sign that the deglobalization process has been accelerated. The deglobalization trends after the economic crisis in 2008 weren't a choice. This time, it seems more deliberate action than accidental.
So the U.S. decision to withdraw from the WHO and to cut off funding is very myopic and counterproductive. It's the equivalent of shooting yourself in the foot in the middle of running a marathon, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic, the worst pandemic we've had for over 100 years, and the WHO really plays a crucial role in coordinating international efforts to try and stem the spread of the coronavirus. But even broader than that, it really is just a sign of the U.S. abdicating any kind of leadership role when the world needs leadership the most.
Trump's actions have emboldened the anti-globalization movement. His support was a green light for having more populist regimes around the globe.
I believe Trump has set an example for the North countries when he declares the war against the global South regarding increasing nationalism. So now global North is surviving at the expense of the global South, which means less services, less or damaged economy and health in the global South.
Such an approach has implications on international institutions that have been producing global growth and lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty, sickness, and despair.
This has deteriorated some of the most important international institutions like the WHO, which in effect increases the exposure of third world countries to diseases, and the global response to pandemics like COVID-19 has been interrupted by nationalists like Trump when he declared standing against the globalism. Another thing is the World Bank and its role in funding development projects in different countries. And the third part is the environmental institutions and their role in fighting climate change, which is essential to our food, health, and security.
Withdrawing from the Climate Change Accord, withdrawing from the WHO, we withdrew from the INF Treaty. We might withdraw from the New START nuclear arms control treaty with Russia. All of these efforts to try and kind of decouple the U.S. from global institutions or global mechanisms that are designed to bring everybody closer together.
But how far has the world been deglobalized?
We're definitely less globalized than we used to be, and a good part of that is what the Trump administration has been trying to do, and now with the pandemic, that really accelerated that process because physically people stopped traveling as much, between borders. International trade went down dramatically, which had a big impact on national GDPs and national economies. All right, we saw that global supply chains were disrupted in ways that had very kind of unexpected consequences. So I think we're, in part because of the change in the U.S. and in part because of this global pandemic, really has set back globalization.
When it first started, many people described it as a backlash to years and years and years of globalization and democratization and immigration policies that were too lax, according to conservatives, and that this was just a backlash that eventually would go away. But it's tough to see what's going to happen. And it all depends on economics. When economy is good in certain countries, then you're going to see more lax immigration policies. You're going to see less hyper-nationalism. Conventional wisdom says that when the economy is doing well, then you don't look for third parties to blame for your troubles.
The leading nations are dictating the flow back by building economic barriers, limiting immigration, and restricting the stream of information. Poorest and weakest countries are paying the highest price.